Get on my head. 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 Get on my head.
Okay guys, welcome back. Now what you're looking at here is the 115, and I didn't want to go through a long video of me showing you how to thread it. I figured I'd just show you right here. So when you're threading it, there's your first guide, and then you're going to go around the upper thread tensioner and hook onto this bar, and then back down and hook onto the spring. Okay, see there's a spring there. So then you hook onto that spring, you go up into your take-up arm, and then down to your thread guide, which on the 115 is in the middle of the plate here, and then down to, there's normally a thread guide at the top of the needle clamp. I don't have one on this machine. I do have one in stock. I just realized it's not on here yet, so I'm going to put it on. But I'll do it after the videos. It doesn't need to be on there, but there should be a needle guide here, and then your thread goes from front to back on this machine. Okay, so you go one, wrap around, hook over the bar, hook onto the spring, then up, and then down. Alright, so there's the 115, how you thread the upper thread. Let me grab the 1591 and I'll give a quick show on that, and then we'll get going on this video. Alright, hang on one sec. Alright, so here's the 1591, and as you can see, the first guide is in the same position as the 115. Then the thread comes down and goes around the upper thread tensioner in the same direction as the 115. But there's a little hook here. Instead of having that bar, there's a little hook that the thread hooks onto right here. And then it goes attaches under the spring, goes up to your take-up lever, down to this thread guide, to another thread guide. On the back side of this needle clamp, there's a thread guide. And this is why this guide is here. So it can come down here and wrap around the back of the machine. And then your thread goes from the inside out, whereas the 115 goes from the outside in. Okay? So keep that in mind, guys, when you're doing any threading on a machine. Take a look at where that little loop is, that last thread guide. If it's on this side of the needle clamp, then obviously the thread would go from this side of the needle that way. If it is on the other side, it comes this way. Now there are some machines that go this way too, so keep that in mind. But that's one rule of thumb I usually look at when I'm threading a machine, is where that last guide is. Now on the 115 I'm missing a guide, but I know how to thread that machine, so we got that all set up. Anyways, let me get some fabric set up on these machines, and we'll get stitching on here and see if you guys predicted which one I would choose if I could only keep one. Hey guys, before I show you these two machines stitching, I'm going to discuss the bobbin winders really quick, because there's something really interesting about the 115. Okay, so on the 1591, there's a spool pin here, and you would run your guide here and up to your bobbin in your bobbin winder there. You can see it all set up there. So obviously the wheel would get going and away it would go, and as the bobbin fills, this little arm will go up and it will stop when the bobbin is full. Okay, so that's the 1591. What I find interesting about this machine is I put another spool pin in here off camera. I didn't show you guys, but I put another spool pin in here. There's a spot for it on this machine, and the way this machine works is it has the second guide on the plate, and that's why there's two on this face plate. Is one goes from here and it goes down to the bobbin winder. Now this is what I find interesting. If you look at this bobbin winder, it has that little tab and the fork where the thread goes through onto the bobbin, and it has that same cam system that the 28 and the 128 have. See that? You see that? See how that's moving there? And see how that cam's moving right there? So that's really interesting, because all machines normally with this style of bobbin have these type of winders on the 15 class. And I just found it really interesting that the 115 is like a transition between the vibrating shuttle into this rotary machine, because the way that this bobbin winder works, it has this little fork and arm that go back and forth to guide the thread equally onto the bobbin there. So I just thought I'd show you guys that quickly before I get on to the stitch off, that this bobbin winder on this machine is like a transition between the vibrating shuttle into this style of bobbin. So maybe you guys found that interesting too. Anyways, I'll be right back and we'll get some stitching going. So here's the 1591. Let's run some stitching on this. Alright, get that down in there. In the 1591, they're really good machines, believe it or not, 15 class. If they weren't, there wouldn't be so many clones based off of these machines alone, right? When I first got into these machines, I was getting Japanese-made machines, and they were 15 class clones, and then I got myself a 1591, and I could see all the parts and how everything worked, and I got to understand why they cloned this machine. Pretty good machines. They're very durable, very reliable, easy to work on. Nice balanced stitch there. Got really good stitching. Of course, I didn't set a reverse. I can back tack and do reverse. I can hit the reverse and go there. I just didn't do it because the 115 doesn't have a back tack. So I'm going to be pitting the 115 against this machine. So I figured I would just compare the stitches and see what the length is, if there's any difference in the length or in the quality of the stitch. Anyways, there we go. So let me get the 115 set up. I'll run a stitch on that one, and then I'll let you guys know if I could only keep one, what one would I keep. So give me 1 second. Okay, here we are at the 115. So let's get the stitch run on this, and we'll compare the two stitches between the two machines. And you can see how quiet this machine is, and I really have to grab a hold of this. Once this machine starts moving, it goes pretty good. I put this electric motor on. It was off of a 128 from 1936 that I had ripped apart. So I salvaged the motor and the boss and all the light and everything off of there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's what it was off of. So there you go. Letting you guys know this is how I electrified this machine. It was with an old 128. Now, with these machines, people are like, well, how do you lock a stitch in? See how I'm at the end of the stitch here? Just spin my project, come in a couple stitches, right? Spin it back again. And, you know, try to be careful to keep on your line, obviously, so it's not noticeable. But that's how you'd lock a stitch on the on a rotary. No different than like a vibrating shuttle or any other machine that doesn't have reverse. So there you guys go. There's the stitch, white on top, and on the bottom there, a nice black on the bottom. You can see the back tack there. And just so you guys know, I've looked at them closely, and the two look to be the same length. If any is going to be longer, I would say the rotary has a tiny bit longer of a stitch. But yeah, there you go. So let me get these machines out of the way, and I'll come back with some final thoughts and let you know which one I would keep. Okay, final thoughts on the two. It's a little hard to compare the two to each other, being different types of machines, but in the sense of if I only had these two machines in my collection, what one would I sacrifice and what one would I keep? I would keep the 1591, guys. Just because it does have that reverse tack. It does make it easier on a project. There's no spinning involved or any of that stuff. Also, the class 15 bobbins are a lot easier to access. You could even get them pre-threaded if you want. So that's a good thing about the 15 class. But the rotary is a great machine. I wanted this for my collection. I explained to you guys it's one of Singer's first rotary machines. Also, this is a good example of the artwork. I really like the artwork on this machine, and I wanted to have a rotary, first rotary, and have something that looked good, and this one looks really nice. So there you go, guys. Winner of this battle, the 1591. So stay tuned, because all these machines that I'm pitting against each other that are winning, I plan on doing a battle in the end. So stay tuned, guys. Hope you're enjoying this little series I'm doing of what one would I keep. And leave a comment. Let me know which one you would keep. And we'll see what we can do about making some more videos on the machines I have. Anyways, stay safe, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Get on my head. Get on my head. Get on my head. Get on my head. Get on my head.